Good morning, brothers and sisters. Welcome back to the Church of Doom. I saw, with my little doomed eyes, that I had 3 RPG freaks hanging out here, waiting for me to go live, and that just tickled me pink. Thank you. Thanks for coming back to hang out with me, as I don't know why I had us at the canvas screen when we first started. I have this tiny little window. This is me. Welcome back. For anybody who is going to be new and watching this, my name is Landon Father Doom. Gus and I am on a mission to indoctrinate folks into the RPG hobby, because you know what I think? As I was scouring D&D YouTube today, there is just not enough people out there who are excited to talk about this game and seem like they are genuinely having a good time playing it, prepping it, doing all the work. I did just watch Bob the World Builder's newest video he released yesterday. I was literally watching that right up until I went live. And he was talking, it was kind of like, honestly, like the first 80% was sort of rehashing past drama of like, okay, one D&D failed. What went wrong? What's happening? But he did end the video by saying like, I actually think all of this is the best thing that could have happened to D&D, to like have Sigil fail and to have a bunch of their like suits like leave and walk away and all this stuff. And I think his main point, I think he was making, is like, it kind of is putting D&D it's putting D&D in a spot to have a clean slate, like not go back to the drawing board in terms of rules, because they just did that obviously, but they have to reassess their strategy. And he was saying like that means hopefully what he thinks is they're gonna just have to make a good game again, like to just make a really great community. And not to completely take us off the rails here, but if any of you are familiar with Warhammer 40k or have played that game, or you know Games Workshop, the company who runs Warhammer 40k, like if you've been in that hobby for a while like I have, I got into it when I had my learner's permit. So that was, I'm turning 30 this year, so that was like, oh my god, that was like half my life ago. It was a terrible company. Games Workshop sucked. They had no presence online. They were not putting out new products. There was no communication with their like customer base. There was no hype around it. They were just kind of like similar to what D&D is now, just like milking their customers for money, right? But now if you're familiar with the company Games Workshop today, it's completely different. Like they literally night and day difference. Like they have new product releases with new miniatures. It feels like every other month, if not sooner. They're constantly updating rules and things with FAQs. There's lots of communication with their audience. They have it's called the Warhammer community page, where they're putting out tons of blog posts. There's like at least one every day. It's awesome. Like even though I don't really play the game that much, like I've got tons of minis. You can see like I've got that's an old starter box, but I've got tons of Space Marines. I haven't played in a couple years, but I still follow along because they're just good at keeping me hyped about it. And so I actually kind of agree with Bob the World Builder. I'm like, you know what? Maybe D&D is in a position where they could do some really cool stuff now to kind of bring people back into it. Because honestly, like the weight of it is on, like the ball's in their court at this point. They don't really have big pop culture icons to help them out so much. So, yeah, I'm excited to see what they do. But let's see who we got in the chat. I see Samuel Smith. Good morning. It's been a while since the last time I've been here. Great news. I'm getting married. Hey, congrats, Samuel. That's awesome. Very exciting for you, dude. That's great. When are you getting married? We also got my man Mako hanging out in chat. My greetings, ladies and gentlemen. If any of us are familiar with 40K, true, I know. Probably everybody's familiar with it. I more mean like as a customer. I bet a lot of you have played the Space Marine 2 game. I haven't even played that though. What's up, 55 on Tuesday? Cool. Well, I appreciate everybody being here with me this morning and listening to my little pre-ramble. Why don't we, though, get into the bulk of what we are here to do today, right? We are prepping, or we're continuing our prep of the Retched Tropics, which is a fuming volcano, sulfuric, mist-filled jungle in my post-apocalyptic setting of the old world. Now, if you were here with us last time, then you know we basically did what we did here on this hex map. I had started a rough layout of the peninsula, and then we were just brainstorming ideas for what each hex could be, and so we just had little notes dropped in each one. So before we jump into some new brainstorming, I'll kind of go over some of that lore and just get us all refamiliarized with everything. The one thing I will point out, though, is I shifted our ziggurat, like ancient airship port. It used to be right down tucked between like Hex 9. Oh, it doesn't show my mouse. I cannot figure out a way for it to do that. It's so annoying. But it was like tucked between 9 and 5. But I realized like it didn't really make sense for it to be down there kind of just by itself. It's like, who built it? I didn't imagine the people of Hex 9, like these spice traders and the sort of druidic people would have built it. That sounded really weird. But I did think, oh, we had talked about the bombarded garden, this ancient city that the gods had destroyed as they were leaving the world. I'm like, it probably makes more sense that they built it. So I shifted the ziggurat up to there. And I also think it just kind of gave our peninsula a more appealing shape to kind of fit on a page altogether. But let's take a quick moment to make sure we are all familiar with this setting, right? So the old world, from a godly perspective, from a top-down god's perspective, this RPG campaign setting is forsaken, right? It was sentenced to 1d12, it was sentenced to death, 1d12, how do I get that little canvas? Sometimes I swear. There we go. It was sentenced to death 1d12 ages ago by its former gods, who hastily abandoned it following the sudden death and collapse of its heavenly sun. It is soulless. It is very sparse of enlightened life, with half of mortal kind being taken by the gods on the Great Pilgrimage, and the other half basically being wiped from the planet with fire and fallen stars that the gods threw down as they left. I also like to imagine that, like, did the gods actually, like, throw things down to destroy the world, or as they were leaving, as the Ark was taking off and all these flying heavenly vessels were leaving, was there just a bunch of ships exploding and there was just so much wreckage that came crashing down? Did that destroy a lot of the people? It's probably somewhere between the two, but I thought that was a cool idea. It's also shattered. It is a cratered wasteland ravaged by arcane storms, bewitching plagues, and monstrous warlords as it spins ever closer towards its inevitable doom. This black hole that, like, I depict it as like a big white giant hole in this image here, but it's a black hole, whatever, who cares, right? It is also enduring. It is still home to the last great congregation of mortals who dwell behind the adamantine walls of the raptured city that fell from the skies in the final hours of the Great Pilgrimage. Now, is that the only place where humanity is left and congregated? No, but it is the grandest, it is the largest, the biggest place where mortals are left. But obviously down here in the Retched Tropics, we've still got some mortals clinging on for dear life. Two other quick things. It is a saved setting under the secular rule of the mad prophet Vecna, who witnessed the god's sinful departure with his own third eye, and he calls upon new martyrs each day to serve unholy missions far beyond the raptured city's walls, which is a good opportunity for me to quickly plug that I've got my Sunday campaigns that I am running. Every Sunday is a new mission you will serve for the mad prophet Vecna. You bring a level 3 character, and from week to week, you can bring a totally new character every time. You could play the same one for a few sessions, then cycle them out. It's a campaign all around one-shots, very episodic. And I've got someone signed up for my 9 a.m. session on Sunday. I've got someone signed up for my 1 p.m. session on Sunday. So if you're looking to play D&D with me, you want to get into a one-shot and maybe even run a roster of characters, then that is a great campaign to join. And also, your first session is free. You come serve a mission for Vecna. There's no charge to do that. He is just desperate for martyrs to lend their magics and bodies to the cause, basically. So I've got a link to go join that down below. But anyways, back to our regularly scheduled program. Where did it go? There it is. Right, so it's led by Vecna, and the last thing is it is a blessed setting. It is zealously magical. It's a world where the ancient prayers and miraculous incantations of the putrid gods still fall from mortal lips, because who else are they going to pray to, right? Like, even though their gods abandoned them, you got to get your magic somewhere. So they still recite their prayers to these ancient gods. So that is big picture world. Grim, dark, post-apocalyptic, everything's gone to shit, right? Now, the Retched Tropic, what we're actually going to be prepping today, is a little micro region on this world. So the Retched Tropic is a region of the old world that is suffocating. It is a noxious jungle riddled with fuming volcanoes, sulfuric vents, and acidic bogs that shroud even the tallest mountains in a putrid yellow haze. It is unexplored. It's one of the last frontiers left unconquered by mankind before the Great Pilgrimage commenced. Many settlers, towns, and strongholds now cling to the jungle's coastlines for dear life. We had a few of those brainstormed last week. Number 3 It is acrid. It is crawling with oozes, acid-spitting lizards, cannibalistic trolls, and the monstrous spawn of the dreaded black dragon, Facepocker. Still my favorite name. And the last one is it is bountiful. It is a fabled land amongst desperate mortals who come here to plunder its not yet discovered golden cities for enough tithing to bribe a god. Hopefully, bribe a god to take them to the Ark or take them to the New World or save them from the end of the world or whatever. Or they come here believing it is such a remote section of the world that the Doomsday will never find them here. That is what we're talking about. That is what we're working with here for our setting. So, we've got our map. And I kind of feel like we just start up in the topmost area. We maybe work on the bombarded garden. We work on the ziggurat, and we just move south. Or do we start with Hex 7 over here with our human settlement of the Ivory Knights, which I think I called the Order of the Alabaster Knights. Yeah, that's what I called it. Maybe that makes more sense. Kind of start somewhere where there's like more humanity and civilization. I actually think we should do that, because that's probably where my players will be showing up, which I actually have a session with them tonight. It is our session 0. So hey, if you want to play in a campaign that is using this region, you can also go sign up for that. Samuel, though, what were you saying here? You're getting married. You're getting married July 12th. Her name is it Kaylee? Callie? That's awesome, man. Samuel, I'm pumped for you, dude. That's sweet. Very, very cool. What was my man saying here? I like an old joke of one of the most ancient prayers that must be performed with a special magical stone is orbital strike on my position platform. Yeah. Or EC 130 inbound. That could be one of their prayers too. Okay, I think now that I've been thinking about it and talking about it, it makes more sense to prep the Citadel of Ivory, our stronghold of humanity. Well, actually, now that I'm saying that, I don't know if that does make the most sense, because I also noted that Hex 9, this spice, fruit, herb trading community, in the description I said it was formerly the second largest congregation of mortals here in the Retched Tropics. Now the largest, because the settlement that was at Hex 1 was destroyed by the bombardment. So that actually might be the biggest place. You know what? I'm going to leave it up to y'all. Let's run a little poll, shall we? Let's start our prep with, do we want to do the herb? Actually, I think I have names for these. I did manage to name almost all of them yesterday. The Violet Port, that's what I called it. And I called it the Violet Port because, like, all the colorful spices and things, I wanted that to be a really prominent theme of this location. Vibrant, rich colors, reds, blues, greens, purples, and violet, I think, will just be one of the most dominant colors. I think it would contrast really cool with, like, the yellowy, misty haze. So we could do the Yellow Port, which are the herb druids. We could do the Citadel of Ivory, which is the fortress, and it's not even really a city. It is more of like a castle with maybe a village kind of built around it, but a castle made from ivory horns and antlers and things like that that were collected by the Alabaster Knights. So that is the Horn Castle. Or do we want to start? Nope, I think those are the two places that make the most sense to start. What do we think? How do I run that? There we go. Let me know what we're thinking. Cast your votes. Cast your votes. It's pronounced Kaylee, just a weird spelling. Oh, it's all good, Samuel. I'm happy for you, dude. That's super cool. Alright, we'll let that run for just a sec. While you guys are voting, why don't I get our descriptions copy-pasted down here? Because that will be useful. I've been, like, roughly laying this out in Canva because at the end of the month, not this month, because that's today, but the end of May, our new month, I'll be uploading this zine to Patreon. Okay, so that's the Citadel of Ivory. We can reference that when we start working on it. And the Violet Port. I also like the name the Violet Port because it sort of sounds like the Violent Port, and it's like, ooh, what's going on there? Are there dark secrets there? What kind of atrocities have been committed there? Probably not anything too crazy. It was a druidic people, but I had an idea that we talked about there were sections of jungle surrounding this Violet Port where the druids had used magics to try and enchant the plant life, make it even bigger, make the spices and the seeds and the fruits that they provided more bountiful, more whatever. And I thought, ooh, what if instead of just having it be normal magics, it was like occult magics? And that's what led to some of the plants becoming man-eating plants and things like that. What's up, Twin Steel? Welcome, welcome. Happy to have you here. All right, looks like our poll, I'm going to just call it. And we got, what are we going to do? The Citadel of Ivory. Okay, I figured that's what y'all would want to do. So, let's go back. Where is that? The Citadel of Ivory. Where are you? The Citadel of Ivory. Okay. So, the Citadel of Ivory is a grand castle raised by the Alabaster Knights shortly before the Great Pilgrimage commenced, using nothing but the horns of the jungle's innumerable and colossal lizards. Jungle is kept out by a crumbling wall of ivory stacked taller than the castle itself. So we talked about that last week too, right? Like there's the tip of this eastern edge of this jungle peninsula, the castle, the ivory castle, whatever, is built there. But then they also stacked this huge, massive wall of horns and antlers and things that was meant to, at one point, keep the jungle out. But now that humanity is nearly wiped out, the Alabaster Knights aren't as grand as they once were. The jungle has started to like grow over the wall and is encroaching in towards this castle. So let's bring that up a little bit. You can see here I've got like 2 columned areas. Each location, the kind of the rule I've set for myself and us today is each location gets a page. So that's enough to do like 2 D8 lists or 3 D4 lists or a D8 list and a D4 or whatever. We can kind of give each setting or each hex a couple little random tables to help me or whoever's using it generate ideas as they're running it. So we need to think of what would be some useful tables for this location. That's the very first thing we need to do. So we could do, I mean, obviously we need like NPCs, right? We need settlement locations, possibly. We need maybe some adventure hooks, like what would bring you here or what would they send you out to do? We might need, I'm just like these are the most generic ones you typically have, but like a random encounter table. What kinds of things happen in this settlement? Although I think you could kind of get the same effect from a culture table. What do the people of this place believe? What do they do? How do they live their day-to-day lives? We probably need like just a general overview table, something that's like the Citadel of Ivory is ... and then 4 quick points about maybe how many people live here, what's the condition of this place, what's its driving belief, something like that. We got other ideas though of what types of tables we might want for the Citadel of Ivory. What did Twin Steel say here? The Greeks knew a method of soaking tusks in a special solvent to unroll and make plates of ivory they used to make a gigantic statue of Zeus. Whoa, I didn't know that. That's super cool. Well, that has me thinking like, yeah, maybe these people use ivory for like everything. Their clothes are made of like thin sheets of ivory, like almost like plate mail or scale mail, but instead of metal, it's ivory, and it's lighter than metal, so you could wear it as like a gown, almost like a big beaded dress or a beaded tunic or something like that. That could be cool. Things to buy here. Oh, I like that. So that reminds me of an idea I'd had when I was like a couple weeks ago. I was like, how could I change my prep up? How could I do a little better when it comes to settlement prep? And an idea I had was maybe you prep locations with like a mechanical feature. It's instead of just being like, well, they've got a magical item shop and they've got a blacksmith and they've got a jeweler shop. Like you have those things, but you specifically give those locations a feature, right? When you go to the jeweler, yes, you can like buy some jewelry. Yes, you can sell the gemstones you've collected. Yes, you can do all those normal things, but this jeweler does one cool specific thing. And maybe that is they can like, what's a cool idea? I don't know. They can put they can put a gemstone, an enchanted gemstone, into your sword that is enchanted in such a way that whoever is wielding the weapon when they die, their soul becomes infused into the gemstone. And that is like the one cool specific thing that this jeweler in this part of the region does. And you sort of do that for each location. And then you can give your players, because I don't know about you guys, but I've definitely got some groups that when it's like, you guys are in town, what do you want to do? They're like, I don't really know. Like it feels like running errands and it's hard for like some players to get excited about that. Because for me, at least in my play styles, like I could talk to every NPC in every town and have a ton of fun the whole night just doing that. But some players need like a kind of clear, what is the thing I can do? What is the button I can go press in that area? And that's sort of what I was thinking this could be. So resources or features. I like that. What's up, Kenneth? Welcome in, Kenneth Soto. Hell, we got 18 people here? That's awesome. Well, thanks for hanging out, everybody. Thanks, and shout out, much love to all my lurkers who are just hanging out for us, or hanging out listening to us prep here. Okay, let's maybe start brainstorming one of these, right? I think we will do, at the very least, let's start with the culture. That's the most important one, right? We gotta lay a foundation for this settlement before we do anything else. So how could we start that table? This is a place where ... That's good enough to start. So I'll kind of kick us off with an idea. Ivory. This is a place where ivory is used, and this is all going to get edited later. So if it looks really messy or doesn't sound great, don't pester me about it. Right? This is a place where ivory is used in every aspect of life to make clothing, tools, even buildings, etc. They use ivory to do everything. What are some other major aspects of this location's culture? Or also, like, we kind of wanted to get ideas of like the population. Maybe I need to change the heading. We'll just for now just put like general info. General info. That's maybe a little clearer of an idea here. Kenneth asked, where are they? Good question. Let's go back up to our map. You know what we should probably do? Is also, let's copy that map. Hang on, give me a sec. And bring it down here. And then we can just crop it in. So it's not taking up the whole screen. But that is, Hex 7 is what we're prepping. The human settlement with the ivory, the alabaster knights. So they are on their own little edge of a peninsula. Hex 6 we had not decided on last time. And I think I actually hadn't... I think that was the one area that I have not finished prepping. Let me go back up to my list of locations. Did I have that one? Nope. I was still unsure of what that area would be. So if you've got an idea for that, this is probably a good time to drop that as well. God, anybody getting motion sickness from all my scrolling? Skull Knight says maybe it's like a hunter's or type of hunting culture. It's very trophy oriented, boasting of a great hunt. You boast about great hunts as a pastime at dinner. I like that. It's a hunter dominated or hunter led culture. Power comes to those who like the bigger the kill, the more power you have. Sort of a way you could think about it too. I like that. What about, like, how many people live here too? That's also what that kind of goes along with this idea of a hunter. I keep wanting to say hunter-gatherer culture, but like a hunting culture. It's probably not very big. It wasn't a city, remember? It was just like a stronghold. A king had sent the Alabaster Knights, or a knightly order that then became the Alabaster Knights once they arrived here, sent these knights out of like, hey, go get a stronghold, go get a foothold in the Retched Tropics because I want to conquer it at some point. And then the Great Pilgrimage happened. These knights were sort of just left here, abandoned by the gods, and maybe even their king, who's like going up on the ark like, see ya. And they have become something different now over the generations. I think I even noted in the... I don't think I said it when I was reading through it at the beginning, but in my edited version of the old world lore, I noted that the Great Pilgrimage happened, I think I put it as like 1d12 generations ago. So it could have happened, 12 generations. That's a long time. That's a really long time. Or it might have just happened 1 or 2 generations ago, and it's way more recent. I kind of wanted to give dungeon masters who might use this in the future an opportunity to like, hey, whatever you want it to be. But at least in my mind, it's been at least 4 generations or so. Long enough that in mortal, like human settlements, the You know, the lore or the hidden information that's been passed down from generation to generation has already started to diverge from the truth. And so there's a lot of mystery about what actually happened. So this order of knights here has been here for 3 to 4 generations, and now it's built into a small village or something, right? What, let's see. Hunter, or no, we did that one. What are their landmarks and gods? Oh, yeah, we could have them definitely worship some sort of god. We could think about that here. It would probably be some sort of, like, hunting god, right? Samuel says, forgive me, I'm just trying to get in the zone. What aesthetic or inspiration are you looking at for this specific area? I hear knights, and I think more fantasy medieval, but I hear ivory, and I think tribal. That's the cool thing about this, is it's somewhere in between. Like, those two ideas have started to mesh together. So, you're not too far off the mark there. Twin Steel saying, are there tamed giant lizards as part of this community? Like, for transport? Ooh. Oh, I like that. That's interesting, because if they collect ivory, but they've got, like, I'm imagining a giant lizard that has, like a chameleon, right? They've got the big horns or something. Do they have horned lizard mounts? That could be kind of cool. I'm going to add a little idea here just to start giving us a bit more direction. I like the idea that it is a community of I don't want to say tribal. Community of tribal humans who follow the command of the Night Lord. Might change that name later. But I do like this idea that it was at one point a sort of medieval feudal type of community, but now they've got like their tribal, their chieftain. They've got their leader. It's not a baron. It's not like a feudal assignment of power. It's more of like a generational inherited sort of thing. But they still have like their chainmail and their plate mail, in addition to like that. Those are like the oldest relics in this community. If you are the chieftain has a breastplate of metal, but most of the other knights are just having like ivory weapons. I think that would be really cool. Doman, what's up, Doman? You said you could have a How to Train Your Dragon ranger type vibe here, where all the knights hunt the elephants and boars, but your young rangers befriends one boar or a little elephant or something. Unrelated idea. That's true. I guess like ivory does make more sense for boars and things like that, right? And maybe this order of knights, they hunt the thunder lizards. They go hunt the dinosaurs, but boars and things like that, or an elephant or a rhino or whatever. I guess rhinos aren't really like in a jungle, but maybe those are slightly different for them. That could be cool. My man Mako saying, what if some of them have been granted bodies of alabaster, essentially becoming golems through religious ritual? I could see them having... Yeah, it kind of like a 40k dreadnought. They're entombed within the ivory. Yeah, I figured they could have some bone golems. That could be cool. Oh, the Apex Hunter, Skull Knight. That's a cool name. Instead of a Night Lord, they serve the Apex Hunter. Or what about the Night Hunter? And it could also be, if you want some double meaning here, it's the Night Hunter, how it's spelled, like a knight in armor. But it also could be like, the knights only hunt at night. That's when and that's because it's the most terrifying time to go hunt. When you are at a disadvantage. The dinosaurs and the giant cats and the whatever things you're hunting, they can see in the dark. They can see better than you can, but that doesn't stop these people from going out and hunting anyways. That is cool. Okay, let's do one more idea here for this, the general info about this place, and then we could probably start thinking up some other details here. My Mimeko saying maybe there are wardens of knowledge, and through their ramblings is how history is remembered. That's like definitely a vibe of the world at large. I don't know if that's something specific we need to worry about with this location. Samuel saying maybe, or he loves the idea of kind of a horned lizard type knight, but have sort of a chameleon type armor. Yeah, I was thinking the same thing, like horns coming off the top. They've got like the buggy weird eyes that chameleons have that they look out of. Etchings of like scales, or like chameleons have more of a like a almost pebbly is the word I'm thinking of, like a pebbly type scale or skin that changes the color. But that could be cool. wouldn't their ivory armor give them away at night? I mean, yeah, but wouldn't running around in a giant suit of metal armor also give you away? You know, I don't. And also, I mean, this is getting into an area of world building that I'd never really bother myself with, of like the realism, but like most animals don't see the same way we do, especially at night, right? So ivory, it's not like they're gonna see like, whoa, what's that giant white thing running through the jungle? They might be doing like more of like a thermal sort of vision or something, like a snake, you know. So I don't know if that necessarily is something we need to worry about. What if songs are believed to be the key to the wall staying strong? Maybe they seek out the best singers, and those combined choirs sing through the day and night. It is surprisingly working. That's a really unique idea. I'm trying to think, like, does that feel like it ties in? Does it fit into sort of a warrior nightly culture? I don't know. But I do feel like we need something that addresses this wall and the jungle growing over it. Maybe what if they just keep stacking the wall taller? That could be the idea. Like, it's not that there's this huge wall of ivory that's like hasn't been touched in a long time, but it was built so tall long ago. It's like, no. Right now, actively, they are building it taller and taller and taller because the jungle just keeps growing up and up and up. And that's the only way they've really been able to, like, keep it out. I think that's kind of actually a pretty cool idea. What do we have so far? General info. It is a place of ivory. It's used in every aspect of life. The bigger the kill, the more power you have. It's a community that follows the command of the Night Hunter, which is like a chieftain. Oh, fine. We'll just do that for now. I feel like we need something to do with, like... I feel like I still don't know if I would totally get the vibe of this place. Like, day-to-day life, what is it like? Maybe what if they're very... Oh, here's an idea. I've got it. Sheltered people who live lives behind the ivory wall. The knights are the only ones who enter the jungle. Sort of a, like, King Kong sort of vibe. At least, maybe this was in the... Was this the Peter Jackson? Maybe it was in both, the Peter Jackson and the new, like, MonsterVerse one or whatever, where the people of Skull Island don't go outside of their walls because that's where the monsters are. Everybody stays inside. If you leave, you're crazy. I like that. I like that a lot, actually. I think that's pretty cool. Hold on, let me give us a little more room here to do our writing. Okay. Shift that down here. So we've got some general info figured out. What's the next table we want to do? We did culture, or no, we did overview. Honestly, overview and culture kind of went hand in hand a bit there. Ooh, what did Twin Steel say here? There could be interesting ivory rune carvers that imbue magic into the plates. Oh, yeah, there's gotta be some cool, like, ivory bone shaman type vibes for sure. Kenneth said, why not make it seriously thick? I guess because it's easier to build up than it is to build deep. Because, like, if this is the castle, right, and this is the jungle, you only have so much room between the citadel of ivory and the jungle to build the wall wider. And the amount of work it would take to, like, cut back the jungle and build the wall further out, like, if that was why not just cut the jungle back, right? But I like the idea that the jungle is just too untamable to be cut back, so they just are building up. And, like, of course they do go out there and hack away at the jungle sometimes, but I also just think that building up is a more fantastical idea than building wide. Okay. Let's see, what else? Doman was saying, what if the plant life is growing here so much as to a curse in Hex 9? Hold on, let me go. Oh, so, sorry, let me scroll up real fast. You're talking about, okay, a curse in Hex 9. Maybe you expanded on that idea a little bit. I'm trying to think what, because that's on the other side of the peninsula. The unpopulated one, and the knights want to find the evil druid or something that makes the plant life grow to... Oh, like they believe that what those druid occult people did in Hex 9 is causing it here. That's cool. That's a fun idea. Yeah, there's like they're not like necessarily at war, right? But they are enemies. They're also very remote from each other. It's not like people from 7 and people from 9 can just like woohoo. Like there's a road that just cuts through the jungle. Like you have to sail up and around the northern tip of the peninsula to reach Hex 9 or to reach Hex 7. So they just kind of don't deal with each other. I like that idea. That's cool. Hey, Twin Steel, got to get back to work. Good luck. I appreciate you hanging out with us for a minute. Alex says, source of ivory is depleting. No matter how much recycling they've done, they know the last, or the wall is the last bit of ivory. That's a cool idea. I've thought about that, of like, if you've got these knights that are hunting the horned dinosaurs or whatever out in the jungle, like, aren't they eventually going to hunt them to extinction? But I'm like, no, this is a fantastical world where A, I don't want to worry about monsters going extinct, but also B, there's like 6 of these knights, I imagine. Like, it's a small community. There's only 6 of these knights. There's no way they could possibly, they just don't have the tools or the resources to hunt the sources of ivory to extinction. You know, for every horned monster they kill, 2 more take its place, right? Like, that's the sort of the vibe here. I think what we could do, though, now, just to keep us on track, why don't we do some NPCs? We'd mentioned that there's, like, the chieftain, maybe, like, a bone shaman. So why don't we work on that? You can meet, or living here is, ... So we've got our chieftain. I'm just going to drop these 2 ones we already thought of. We've got the bone shaman. Or maybe we'll call him the bone mage. I'm trying to think, like, how they were knights who have become more tribal over time. How much of the, like, tribal terminology do we want them to have adopted versus how much of the still, like, chivalrous, knightly, more, like, typical fantasy terminology do we want them to keep, right? Is it a bone shaman or is it a bone priest? Ooh, I actually like that more. A bone priest. And we didn't call it a chieftain, we called it the knight hunter, who is the chieftain. Ah, these tables are... Maybe I do need to go down to 0.10 font. Maybe. My last zine was 0.12 font, which I think... What did 12 look like? We could go down to 10. I think that's fine. It does mean you gotta write more to fill the pages, but hey, I think that's gonna not be a problem here. Okay, other NPC ideas. What do we got? Mako says maybe they have some weird species of spiders reinforcing the wall as some sort of symbiotic relationship with the web Lord Knight watching over them. Cool idea, but I do think that you're introducing a whole new... I feel like spiders takes away from the imagery of a horned lizard knight. Like, I've been digging that vibe, and I think like a symbiotic relationship with spiders starts to suddenly get like a little off focus of what we've talked about so far, you know? Ivory scholars or bone scribes. Ooh. I like Ivory Scholar. That's a really cool one. We could go with that. So we've got... hold on, let's think about this. So the Night Hunter is the lord, or the chieftain, or whatever we're going to call it. Chieftain of the Citadel, descendant of the Alabaster Knights, strongest warrior. Those are the vibes there. The Bone Priest is the... what do we want them to be? They are the mage of the area. The Bone Priest, what are the... and also, what separates the Bone Priest from the Ivory Scholar? Or could we sort of just combine those into one character? Because we probably want, like, a Bone Merchant and an Ivory Mage, right? The Bone Merchant can sell ivory weapons, armor, clothes, tools, etc. But the Ivory Mage is like a necromancer, maybe? Or a bone reader. Bone reading divination magics. You know, throw the bones and see what they tell you. That sort of a vibe. They can speak with the dead. And you can see, like, the way I'm... it's funny, the way I'm prepping this in my head right now, or brainstorming it, is like, what are the things that these NPCs can offer the character, as opposed to like, what is their voice, what are they wearing, what is, like, those things I feel like are easier to come up in the moment. What is this person, you know, if I needed to describe what something looks like, I can pull a fun description of a bone cloak out of my ass, right? But to suddenly be like, well, what is this person, like, what can they offer the characters as a mechanical benefit? Excuse me. That's a little bit harder. Doman says maybe we could do an elder tattoo artist that grinds ivory down to dust and mixes it with ink. They then tattoo the knights to grant them buffs. Ooh. A tattoo artist. That is pretty cool. I do like that. I do like that a lot. I don't know if it's going to be one of our like top NPCs, because we are working with limited real estate here, because we do still need to do like what are some locations and other things, but I'm going to keep that idea in my head. Samuelson, maybe the ivory scholar is like a herald or a historian, while the bone priest is more magic. Yeah, I mean, like, that's what I was, just from the names, I was like, okay, yeah, I could see how those are two different roles, but my question more is like, do they need to be two different roles? Do we need to have two different NPCs for the players to interact with, one for magic, one for lore? Or could we just be like, boop, make it one? Because don't mages and wizards, like, aren't they typically like, you know, they have shelves full of tomes and ancient texts, like Gandalf, right? He's down in the library of Minas Tirith doing his studying. I think we could just have it be one and kill two birds with one stone. Kevin K. What's up, Kevin? Good to see you here in chat. Said there could be some sort of priestess who they believe helps keep the jungle away from... Oh, yeah, we do need some sort of, like a wall priestess. I don't know what we would call her, but I do like this idea of someone who, like, would they be druidic? I don't know if I want them to be druidic, because that's dipping into the vibes of our settlement over at Hex 9. But someone who tends to the wall, clears plants, collects or gathers fruit, right? Because, like, I do think it would be cool that, yes, they want to keep the jungle out. That's why they're building the wall up. But at the same time, they need food. And if some of these plants that are clinging to their wall produce food that they can go pick, fruits and things like that, they probably would use that. It's not like they hate the jungle. They're not like, we don't want anything to do with it. They're just like, if we don't do something about this jungle, it is going to overtake us. It is going to grow in here and consume us. So we need to kind of but let's use it to our advantage. I think that would be cool. Good idea, Kevin. What's up, Pengu Pete? Like bone tarot cards, but they just throw the bones into a pit or something. Exactly. Exactly. Skull Knight says a whitesmith, like a blacksmith for bones, hence white. Yeah, ooh. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think maybe the bone merchant kind of covers, it's a little too broad, like they can just sell everything. Maybe that's more of like, there's a location, right? You've got the, I don't know, not everything can just be like the alabaster, the ivory market, the blah, blah, blah. But I do think having a bone smith would be cool. But does that need to be one of our focal NPCs? Because that seems like one you could kind of make up in the moment if you needed. I'm not sure. Okay, so we've got the chieftain, we've got the bone mage, we've got a wall priestess or something like that who tends to the walls. The bone merchant. Do we want to have... I feel like we need like another knightly character, like the chieftain doesn't go out on the hunts as often anymore, right? Like, they still will, but they have a responsibility to lead the people here. So they more would be like, you know, they knight the sons and daughters who are growing up with this community to go out and do the hunts. So maybe we need we need a prince or something who is the fiercest warrior, but they're not strong enough to, like, I don't imagine this as a community where it's like, I want to take over power, so I'm going to challenge you to a fight. Like, could that happen? Yes, but that's not normally how it goes. Like, the chieftain is the chieftain until they die. And then the title is passed down to the known fiercest knight. So I like that idea. I think that's cool. Fiercest Warrior leads the hunts. Heir to the throne. Is it a throne? I don't think so, but whatever. It helps me know what we're talking about here. Okay, for now, I think we're going to call that on the NPCs, right? Unless what was the... Ooh, my man Mako, the Houndmaster, a necromancer type second in command who goes out on hunts with skeletons of dogs raised from the dead. Ooh, that's cool. I still... That idea reminds me of, like, I still am not sure what these knights go out and hunt with. Do they ride on giant lizards? Or would they kill a giant lizard to get its ivory? And these knights still, like... Horses, obviously, would be very impractical. But, like... I mean, giant boars could be cool, but they also have tusks. It's like, how committed are we to the idea that these knights just get every last bit of ivory that they can? Or do they ride on the backs of wild cats, like big cats or big dogs? I'm still not sure. Or do they just do everything on foot? Maybe the jungle is just too thick to really be able to, like, ride anything through. I'll have to think about that. But I'm leaning on, honestly, I'm leaning a little towards everything's on foot. It's not like this is a bustling high fantasy jungle peninsula where there's a bunch of trade going on, right? Like, for the most part, they kind of just stay in their home. All right, we've done our NPCs. We've done our overview / culture. I think we probably could... I need to move this now. Shrink this down. Shrink this down. Cram it up here. Okay. Why don't we do some locations in our settlement? Seems like a good one to do next. Locations. What would be some cool locations that our players would want or benefit from visiting in this place? I think this is where I deleted the merchant, but I think we could do the ivory market, right? Where you can buy armor, tools, weapons, clothing, etc. All the fun accessories that players would want to get. We probably would need some sort of bonesmith. That's where we could do this. Or is that just part of the ivory market? Like, do the players need to really go to the smithy? Or could they just go to the market? And I guess if they need things like repaired or like a custom request, maybe they go to the bonesmith. But I feel like that's one we could take off if we need to. Oh, the ivory tattooist. That was one that could be fun. Ivory or the bone tattoos. I don't know what we'll call it, but that one was a cool idea. I think I want that on there. Doman said, maybe the village necromancer tries to resurrect an ivory beast, but can only do it at night. Then the knights and the resurrected beast head outside the wall. We do have lots of bone. Obviously, the main vibe here is bone, so a necromancer sort of skeleton vibe could work. That could work. Would that? Trying to think. In order, you know, they go out, they collect the bones and the ivory of these things that they've been fighting. Would they see raising it back up from the dead as a as heresy or something? Like they worked so hard to go get it and now you're just going to bring it back? I'm kind of leaning towards that. I think they might see necromancy as like a taboo. Like, no. We did not risk our lives in the hunt so that you could simply raise this thing back up and have it go fight for us. I think that's kind of cool. But I appreciate the idea because you did kind of lead me down that. Kenneth said, they go on foot or with a flying lemur. They have specialized boots that their feet have been adapted to the terrain over time. They have a specialized boot. The knights do? Interesting. My man Mako asked, are these knights human? Yeah, predominantly. Yeah, I'm thinking they are. I tend to be pretty like human centric in my D&D worlds, and dwarves and elves or something you like. Player characters can be those if they want, right? But they're very rare in my settings. Okay. Okay, Samuel, I'm glad you like the idea of necromancy being taboo, because that's what I'm leaning towards too. Okay, so we probably should have some sort of description of the wall. We also do need the alabaster citadel, or whatever we're gonna call it. So this is the keep, built from bones, first raised by the original knights sent here. The bone wall being built taller and taller to keep the jungle out. The bonesmith carves new weapons and armor from ivory, obviously. The bone tattoo. What do they do with that? They... Like, maybe when you... Oh, here's an idea. When you kill a beast, they use its bones to make a white ink to tattoo you with. So this person, it's like a very spiritual role within the community. It's not like you can just go be like, tap me up, brother. Like, give me a... whatever. Like, they only tattoo people who bring them the horn of something they've killed. And then they will tattoo something to honor that kill. That's a cool thing that I think players would want to, like, just keep coming back to. You know, I killed another one. Give me the T-Rex tattoo. That would be really cool. Domin said, what is the connection with the plants and the ivory beast? Sorry if it was already said. No worries. No, it hasn't already been said. So you've got the jungle. Here, let's go up to our... on our map. So, hex 7 here. The settlement is on that hex, and remember that each hex is about 4 days of worth of travel or so to kind of cross. So it's a big footprint of an area, but the focal point of that hex is this human settlement. They have built this wall of ivory of stacked horns and antlers to keep the jungle out. It's not necessarily like they use the jungle to, like, enchant the bones, although that is like a cool idea for a totally different vibe of a place, right? They have skeletons, they animate skeletons with vines growing up inside the bones. That's a cool idea, but I like that we're kind of embracing this idea of like, no, necromancy is, we're not about that here. We are mortal warriors who slay these things. Kenneth said, what is the largest not plant size but still giant bone or skull creature in D&D? Oh, not planet, wait. What is the largest not planet size but still giant bone or creature skull in D&D? Or skull creature? I'm a little confused by the... I think you're like, just what's the biggest plant or undead creature? Is that what you're asking? I have no idea. I'd imagine like they introduced in the new the new monster manual like the giant violet fungus, or like a huge fungal plant monster thing. It was like an undead plant thing, I think. I don't know. I'm not sure. My man Mako, how do the knights acquire initiates, or do they do initiates? I imagine it's just like in any village, like the children that are being raised kind of start to fall into certain roles. The children who show strength and no fear and want to go out and hunt these monsters, like they become the next generation of knights. But there are other children who are just going to become the merchant. They're going to become the fisherman. They're going to become the fruit gatherer or whatever, right? What's up, Greeker? Am I late? No. How long have we been going, actually? Oh, not even an hour. So we'll probably go for like 2 hours again today. Okay. How many? Oh, we probably need one more cool location. We've got, because I like to work in, you guys know me, I like my D4, D6, D8 lists. And that even leaves us a little room to do like a micro D4 list down here. That's cool. Okay, so what could be one more cool location for this settlement? We've got the market, we've got the bonesmith, the bone tattooer, although that might just become an NPC, we'll see. We've got the citadel itself, we've got the wall. We probably need like a dock or a port, right? Somewhere where they leave their boats. Would that be the most... I think that might be the thing we need. Ooh, what is this idea, Samuel? I can just imagine necromancers raiding the boneyard of these hunters and... Oh, yeah, that's cool. I like that idea. Greek, I've been begging for streams. I don't know if you've noticed. Now I finally caught one. Yeah, I'm back, baby. I am back. I forgot how fun they were, honestly. Okay. I think there was just kind of a mental block of, like... The streams are a little, what's the word? Like the morning of when I'm going to do one, an hour or so before, I'm like, oh gosh, okay, what am I going to do? There's only so much you can do to like get in the mindset and have it go well. Really, all you can do is just press go live and just start talking and hope it goes well. But I spend like an hour just like, okay, I got to get ready. I got to get set up. And it's like, what am I doing? I'm pressing like one button and then I go live. Kind of silly. But I think I'm working on getting over that mental hurdle. My man Mako says, what about an alabaster cave that is under the citadel and is essentially the place of power, known as the progenitor's tomb? Oh, a tomb. You bring up a very interesting point. What do they do with the bones of their fallen? Or not even their fallen, just the bones of the people who live here. I would imagine, I like the idea that they use them. Like, this community is all about bones, so when Grandpa dies, his femur becomes a new spear tip, and that is like a sacred family weapon. The skull becomes like a helm or something. I don't know. I guess that doesn't make sense. Like, how do you make the helm would be the size of a human skull. You wouldn't be able to get it over your head. But I think I kind of like the idea that instead of burying their dead or entombing them somewhere, they put the bones to like a more ceremonial use. That's the one idea I like. But I also like the idea that like they see the bones of monsters and things like they are not worthy of being entombed. We use them for our own purposes, and the bones of our own people, they are worthy of reverence. Maybe do we put that up to a poll? What do we think? Okay, yeah, Mako, you got... Oh, I could go either way. What did Kenneth say here? So, what would the hunters do with the meat, fat, skin, and other things from the animals they hunt if bones are their main... I mean, obviously they would... I mean, they still use that stuff. They would, like, eat the... It's not like they would just huck it into the ocean. But I'm just... It's like... Bone is our inspiring word. When you're running this place as a location, you can always go back to bone as your source of inspiration. Are there fur pelts and scale cloaks and things here? And do they cook up the meat of the dinosaurs? Of course. But that's not like our driving motivator here. Samuel said, what about the ivory horn or some other cool name that is the ancient horn carved from a massive beast that was used by the first of the hunters? It's used ceremonially to call a hunt. Oh, that's cool. Like a big horn that they, like literally a that they blow into. That could be at the top of our alabaster citadel. I like that idea. Doman asked, what is like the goal of the village? Is it just survival? Are they just monster hunters? Are they religious? Ooh, we haven't thought of a temple yet. And good question, Doman. I see this location as being like, it is the players wouldn't go here to like live in a civilized location, right? That is, let me scroll up on our map here. The true city of this map is going to be Hex 9, this human settlement of of spice, fruit, and herb traders, right? Yeah, that's it. Spurb traders. That is where we'll have like a tavern, and we'll have a true city. This location is more of like, you go here and you participate in a sacred hunt, you get a cool tattoo for the dinosaur you killed, you fight a giant horned beast, but it's not like a place of a lot of, like merchants don't really go there all that often. So that's sort of the vibe. So the goal is to just be a cool location to fight giant monsters, I think. And meet a like really interesting culture. Samuel says he likes the idea that they carry the bones of previous hunters as holy relics. Kenneth also says, yep, turn them into relics or weapons or things. Okay. I dig that. Okay, it sounds like that's our vibe here. Oh, my Mameko says, I'm still for them having the bones of their deceased to raise golem servants, turning their bones into alabaster. Okay, yeah, I mean, I'm not saying it's not a cool idea. That is a cool idea, but I am pretty committed to this idea of they don't do necromancy here. They go out and kill things to collect bones, and they are a warrior people. They don't go collect bones to raise up an army of skeletons, or even like a bone golem. Like, I could see these people being like, we are living. We are the living who protect our own. We don't need or want the dead protecting us. And that's just the vibe of this place. Still a cool idea to have bone golems, but I don't know if that's going to happen here. Kevin Case, could there be a lighthouse at the coastline? I mean, yes, there could be, but I don't, like I was saying just a second ago, I don't know if this is a bustling enough community that they would need a lighthouse. They don't really, like, it's not like there are a bunch of merchant ships showing up to do trade here, so they don't need to guide people in. So I don't know if I'm going to have that be one of our prominent locations on the list. Greek here, are there Notion links for this? No, I haven't used Notion in a long time, actually. I'm sort of like, for my own homebrew campaign, I'm just using my notes app. But for the most part, I'm just kind of working in Canva so that I can make the zines that are going to be, are actively on the Patreon, which I actually just submitted the traveling NPC to Drive Through RPG, so that should be up for sale on there soon. Hopefully that gets approved in the next day or two, and I also need to get the Doom Stronghold uploaded on there for sale as well, so that people can buy the cool. I mean, like, look at some. I gotta show you another piece of art. What was a cool one in here? Oh, this one was sick. So if you don't know, the Doom Stronghold was my previous Kickstarter. It was a zine full of random tables to help you generate strongholds. One of the tables was for astral strongholds. Here, let me go to my... Let me make this bigger real quick. So this was the... What was this one called? Somewhere in the Infinite Void is the Intuitive Keep. It is a domed fortress resembling an enormous mass of brain coral formed from entangled spires of lost, fossilized thoughts. The entire structure is infested with intellect-devouring monsters. That one, check that out. Isn't that cool? How I did this one was I obviously just got like a picture of a planet with an asteroid belt, cropped it out, put it over a background of a black starry night sky. Then, let me get that even closer for you. The underside of this structure was like a temple that I cropped and just inverted. I just turned it upside down and then layered a mass of brain coral behind it to look like a big domed roof. That one came out really cool. And then this one over here, that's an idea for a cartography's guild that their base of operations is like a big globe that they've made they've got a big circular scaffolding that they've wrapped parchment around, and they are constantly updating the world globe, which they live inside. Thought that was cool. Anyways, that stuff is all on the Patreon or going out to backers of the Kickstarter and on Drive Through RPG soon. So, okay, what were we doing? Locations. Okay. One more. We were talking about maybe there's a tomb here, but we decided no. They used their bones, and I'm gonna add that over here. Use family bones. I'll just have to flesh that out later. Maybe we just go with a port, a dock. That seems like one of the most... Ooh, my man Mako said maybe a sick location could be an apothecarium, with the apothecary also being the executioner, assessing which people are worth saving and which would be easier to have their bones added to the wall. Ooh. I think actually an apothecary, that's a cool idea. They grind bone into medicinal potions. They amputate limbs to use the bones. They harvest the bones. Or they could do prosthetics. All right? What D&D character doesn't love to get a cool prosthetic and you could have one made from bone? That could be pretty sick. What's up, Silvers? Diving in here with an idea. How about a bell tower built from the bones of slain hunts? It is rung when the hunt is called. Greatest hunt gets to add a bone to the tower. Very cool idea. Someone had actually, I think it was Samuel, had said they might have like a literal giant horn that they blow into, which I think makes a little more sense. A bell is cool, but I don't think that this community would have the resources to have a big metal bell. I like that they would just have some giant ivory horn that they blow into. But I think it could do the same vibe of what you're talking about, Silvers. They blow the horn to announce the hunt, and when you return, whoever brings back the biggest bone is added to the tower. And that's what's causing it to grow taller and taller. Very cool. Okay. We've got some cool locations. We've got our general info. We've got our NPCs. Probably, what's our last one we want to do? I don't know if I need to do... Random encounters, I don't know if that's very useful. Like, I feel like random encounters in a settlement is sort of, most of the time, kind of just wasting time. It's like, I'd rather do a random encounter out in the world while we're exploring. So I don't know if we'll do that one. The cultural table we already sort of did with our general info. Resources and features kind of honestly is double dipped with locations, I guess. I mean, adventure hooks, that probably is a useful one, right? Oh, what did Doman say here? What if we had another location of a fallen capsule or something from the Ark? Ooh, they could use it for all the wrong purposes. Maybe the Diviner's places a small crashed ship with a small power source. Very cool. I'm glad you're like leaning into the sci-fi aspect. We will definitely be brainstorming more of that up at Hex 4. Our Ziggurat ancient skyship port and our bombarded garden where this city that was smited by the gods existed. I could see there be, like, obviously these knights were sent over at a time when the world was more technologically advanced, but were they necessarily sent here with a lot of that technology? Undecided. I think at this point, we could do, well, ooh, here's maybe a way we could meet you in the middle, Doman. We could do, what if we did a table of secrets, of dark secrets? That could be, it's like sort of an adventure hook table, but it's also an opportunity to have like some hidden lore about this place. Does that work? Maybe we'll try that table with this one and see how it goes. And that could be a theme we continue with some of the other locations too. Although dark secrets sort of implies that it's like sinister, and I don't know if that's necessarily what I want the vibe to be. Like discoverable lore, but that doesn't, like, if I hear discoverable lore, I'm like, boring. Like, that doesn't really inspire me. Kenneth Soto, was it Bombarded Garden? Was that your idea? Yeah, I loved that name. That was so cool. Okay. What could be, and dark secrets, does that work? Or maybe we do just need to do adventure hooks. Because if we wanted to do a dark secret, that there is like some sort of forgotten piece of technology here, we could just have that be part of an adventure hook, right? We could just sort of work that into it. Like the first one that's jumping to mind, right, is we've got a great hunt. The prince is preparing to hunt down a, and then the monster is what makes this like really cool. Like, what could be an awesome? Ooh, what about like some sort of flying dinosaur, like a two-headed horned pterodactyl? That could, or I mean, we've got our black dragon Facepocker. What if the prince is preparing to hunt a child of Facepocker? So you're not going after the dragon, right? These people are not delusional enough to be like, we can go kill the ancient black dragon. I mean, maybe, but they're just one of this dragon's children. A horrific, monstrous, draconic spawn has been spotted, and they're gonna go kill it. That's a cool adventure hook. I like that. It's more of a dragon hunt. I hate when it does that. Other ideas. What could we do? Cool adventure hooks or secrets. Is there something we could do with technology? Kind of a harder location to like work that into. Like maybe there's a, I don't know. Part of what I've done, honestly, with like this world is I've implied, or I've maybe I need to add this to the lore or the primer, but science fantasy is a tough genre for a lot of people, I think, to like visualize in their head. And even for me, sometimes it's like a little tough to like improv things like that. Like, oh yeah, we've got this bone tower, but there's a satellite dish at the top of it. It's like, well, that's weird. So what I've started to try and like get more in the mindset of with this setting is the technology it's down in the dungeons. When the gods cleansed this world in fallen stars and fire and floods and all of that, like basically all signs, all evidence of technology was lost, except that which survived down in the deepest dungeons. The giant missile vaults, the secret laboratories, that sort of stuff still exists underground. And then like way out in the remote wilderness, which I guess we are there right now, but like in the most remote places of the world, you could stumble across a forgotten observatory, but not just like a wizard's observatory, but like a pretty scientifically advanced. It would almost, you'd kind of convey vibes of like a Xenos mind flayer sort of observatory, but not evil. More like, I guess that's a bad example because mind flayers are like, all of their technology is sort of eldritch and living. So bad example, but hopefully you get the point. My man Mako, can you show the locations again? Oh, yeah. That probably would help for our adventure hooks, right? So Hex 7 right here. This is the Alabaster Citadel or whatever we're going to call it. So we've got an idea that they're going to go to Hex 5 to hunt a... Hold on, let me actually... I think I'm going to use this as my pointer. Because I can't get my mouse to show. So, this is silly. So that's where our people are at. There's an idea that Facepocker has a new hatchling or a young dragon that's in the region they're going to go hunt. What could be some other hooks? What's up, Eberandus? It has been a long time no see. Good to see you here with us. Silver says, how about a Day of the Dead type festival to honor the dead, where the players can get intel on big monsters from hunters that died trying to take it down? Ooh, you speak with the dead? That's cool. You like go, does it maybe have something to do with going into the ethereal plane? Yeah, that's pretty cool. How could we turn that into an adventure hook? What's going on where these people need the characters involved in this ritual? Maybe... Oh! What about this idea? Scroll down here. So what if knights went into ethereal plane to speak with elders and haven't returned? But what if the ethereal plane is the knightly tomb? So beneath the Alabaster Citadel, there is a tomb that at one point was used just as a tomb would be, but because this order of knights and the people here have become so, like, bones are such a big part of their culture, they no longer put people down in there. They believe now that if you go down into this tomb and maybe you bring the bones of your ancestors with you, you can speak to the dead there. And maybe it does, like, some weird magic does cause it to act as a portal into the ethereal plane. So they need the characters to go help kind of retrieve their lost ancestors. That's cool. I like that idea. Let's see. Silver is set. Oh, that was the idea I just got. What's up, Painted Indigo? What if the ivory horn for the tower was cracking? They need to figure out, like, why. Is that sort of the vibe? It could be cool. Doman says someone is messing with the DNA of the dinosaurs and is always making them stronger. Maybe the necromancer is the one. Oh, yeah, Doman, the necromancer. Necromancer is raiding village for bones. We've got dinosaur skeletons now that they've got to go fight. That's super cool. Good reminder on that, Doman. Very nice. My man Mako says maybe the Ivory Mage asks the players to accompany him to a holy progenitor. I guess progenitor? I feel like I should know what that word is. But he needs escorting to a cave where he will seek visions from the gods. The cave is a lab where the first knights were bred and maybe made their, like, they were clones or something. Ooh, very science fantasy. That's cool. Could we, yeah, what could we, where would they want to go? Oh, I mean, the Tangled Ivory, right, down here, Area 12. Is there something down there? Or is that where the hunt for Facepocker's spawn is taking us? Maybe that's just where that's going. Sam says, I like the idea of maybe bone talkers or bone whisperers, where maybe like in some Christian... Blah, blah, blah. I like the idea of maybe bone talkers are bone whisperers, where maybe like in some Christian denominations where they venerate saints and even pray to them, maybe they are bone whisperers that do that same thing. Could be cool. I feel like I butchered that whole sentence. I don't know if what I just said was even English. Kenneth says the realm of the dead, definitely, and they have to come back before sunrise or be in the realm of the dead forever. Silver's added that maybe the ancient tech down there can literally pull knowledge out of the DNA within the bones brought down there, but the knights think it's magic. Oh, that's cool. That's very cool. Yeah. Oh, that's sick. This is the problem I run into the most with my science fantasy, is it's like, it takes a lot of words sometimes, even in my like super concise one sentence descriptions, to try and convey like, there's this fantasy thing, but it's secretly science fantasy, but the people believe it's fantasy, but like it's not. Like, it's hard to convey it concisely in a way that anyone would read it and be like, oh, I kind of get the vibe. A lot of times when I put down a science fantasy idea, I'm like, no one is going to know what I'm even trying to describe. Painted Indigo added, what if the necromancer skeletons aren't just raised dinosaurs, but instead the combined bones of many different dinosaurs into one stronger beast? Dude, I was thinking the exact same thing. You're gotta have some crazy bone monstrosities. Okay. We need one more cool idea for an adventure hook. Hunting a child of Facepocker. Knights are lost down in the ethereal tomb. A necromancer is raiding the village for bones. Could we just do one that's like they need to go travel to Hex 9, the other human settlement? Maybe there's something that needs to take them over there for some reason, and they're looking for an escort. I mean, really the only reason I would add that is it's like, hey, here's an excuse to like get your players to go discover another cool location on the map, but I wouldn't say that sounds like the most exciting adventure hook. Although we could work in the idea of like they believe... Oh, yeah, let's do this. Fearful that druid occultists, which is Hex 9, are blighting... maybe not blighting, are trying to topple the wall. The plant life is getting really, really strong suddenly and is threatening to tear everything down, to tear down the wall. And the people here believe it has something to do with the Sultan's druid merchants or whatever over in Hex 9. Now, is that true? Probably not. But maybe there's a half-truth in there. So the players need to go investigate. They need to go speak with this other community, because these Bone Knights know, like, if we go over there, there's just gonna be a fight. So you got to go do it for us. I like that. Okay. Oh, Domin's got a sci-fi idea here. A crash site was here, and the power source of a ship is messing with the plant life, making it grow so much. Yeah, I mean, it could totally be that. But the people here don't know about it. And I think my gut is telling me that the science fantasy sort of vibe that I'm wanting to... I don't even know if I necessarily need to worry about conveying it so much as just like in the world primer being like, hey, DMs, you've got this option. If you want to introduce elements of science fiction into this world, there are ample opportunities to do so, but for the most part, a lot of things are kind of presented from the perspective of the people of this world, which is mostly fantasy. I kind of think that's the way you got to do it. Wow, what a cramped page of text. I have no idea how I'm going to like get that down to a concise enough list that I could do a cool image. But we did our Citadel of Ivory. What time is it? 11:18. Dang, we got like 45 minutes, and then I'm probably going to need to bounce and work on some other things for the day. But, yeah, let's do... What do we think? Do we want to do our other settlement? Feels like that's probably... Whoa, 1, 2. Where the heck? There it is. What do we think? Do we work on our druidic sultan type of place. The Violet Port? I think so. Why don't we do that? Let's do the Violet Port, yeah? So we did our Citadel of Ivory. Here it is. Okay. Shrink this all down again. Oh, and then let's grab our map. Oh, I gotta plug my computer in. Okay. So we'll probably just honestly use the same tables that we did for the other location. No sense, I see, in changing it. Okay. So start thinking what's our general info, our general lore about this location. Here's the quick write-up on it. The Violet Port is the peninsula's largest surviving settlement, spared from the god's wrath thanks only to its mercantile as opposed to military or technological pursuits in the exotic spice trade. It was founded by a sultan's druidic priests who infused the surrounding fauna with occult magics. Okay, what the hell? Sorry, while y'all are brainstorming for a sec, I'm just getting us set up to brainstorm. Okay. All right, general lore. What do we think? Oh, Kenneth, are there any open slots left for your D&D? No, Kenneth, absolutely. There are open spots for sure. Let me go over and show that. Yeah, if you're looking to play D&D, I got my Sunday. I'm looking for players in the 9 a.m. or the 1 p.m. Because I need at least 3 players to launch one, and the first one's free. So go jump into it and play with. It's actually my 9 a.m. guy. That's Mark. He plays in 2 of my other campaigns. He's like a D&D fanatic, and so he's really cool to be playing again with me on Sunday. But yeah, still slots for sure, so go snag one if you want to play. Cool. All right, let's see, have y'all already started brainstorming this? Silver said, Druids and cities bring to mind the hanging gardens of Babylon, so definitely add that most buildings coexist with the plant life. Kenneth said, a place spared by the gods. How would that look like? Basically, it just means, like, as opposed to our location at the northernmost tip of the peninsula that became the bombarded gardens, right? It just got obliterated with falling stars and fire and stuff. This place, the gods basically deemed it as, like, we don't really need to do anything. Like, these people are... We're not worried about them. They can just keep doing their thing. It's sort of what's kind of in my head canon. Or at the very least, like, yes, their city might have been, like, burned and partially razed to the ground, but not to the extent where it was wiped from the face of the earth. They were able to rebuild it and didn't really lose too much of their culture, their history, that sort of a vibe. So, and also, like, part of this is it was from a sultan's, like I said, it was the founded by a sultan's druidic priests, so they came from an exotic land. So this is not a place where I imagine it being very, like, medievally. It's more of a what's the word for it? I don't know. The far off desert or something sort of like that. My Mamako said, what if the druids have blights working the spice fields? Kind of memey but funny. Yeah, it might be a little too memey for me. General info about this place. It is I think we should start with our idea that it is a merging of plants and people. But I did say that they use, like, occult magic. So I want this to be I want it to feel mysterious. I want it to have an air of like there are strange forces at work here. Is kind of the vibe I want. What could that be? Like, do they live inside a giant dead tree? I'm like, nah, I don't know. It doesn't feel very original to me. Silver said, since spices are important, perhaps locals navigate by scent as much as sight, which can make the place seem like a labyrinth to outsiders, and often a guide needs to be hired for first-time visitors. Ooh, cool idea, Silvers. It is not that, I mean, that is a super cool idea. Super, super cool. But I would say it's not that big of a place. It is not so massive in its scale and population that you could get lost in it for longer than like 30 minutes. Where you're like, wait, where am I? Like, what? How do I get out of this alleyway or something? Like, it's not a metropolitan like Waterdeep. It is much smaller in scale. I would hardly even classify it as a city. Oh. What if it used to be a pretty big city, but following the Great Pilgrimage, most of it has been burned? Was it abandoned? Did it like collapse, and now it's like a big tangled mess of plant life? So people are like living within this city that has been fully overgrown. That is a cool, like, you've got the Ivory community that is like, we're gonna keep plants out. And then you've got this other community that is like, we're going to let plants in. Oh, I like that. And this is an idea that no one else would really ever pick up on. It's just in my own head. But this idea of like the city has roots and things growing into it, sort of like a corpse, or like a mind has blights growing into it, sort of that occulty sort of vibe. Maybe we'll go with that. So it's a ruin. So city was nearly burned, or city was partially razed during Great Pilgrimage, and is now overgrown with plant life, which people live amongst. That's cool. I don't know if that sentence doesn't convey it as coolly as I want it to, but this idea that it's not like a clean, bustling, here are the roads and things. It's like sort of going back to Silver's idea of it is a bit of a labyrinth. It is a bit of a natural maze. I might even add that here. A natural maze, because you're walking through where buildings have kind of collapsed in on each other, and there are these tunnels that have been carved throughout it. That's pretty dang cool. I like that. Mamameko says, maybe they have islands of magically entangled massive kelp and seaweed for extra dock and trade space. It's a cool idea. Samuel says he likes the idea of a very oppressive atmosphere with the druids having a caste system, and they are almost worshipped as demigods, and the plant life being an extension of their will. Oh, that's cool. Ooh, what if the druids are servants of an occult god? Okay, how do I convey this? Because I like that idea. Yeah, there is a sort of like caste system. The common folk are living in, it's not like such a bustling economy anymore that I see them living in like squalor or like a slum, but they do venerate these druids as like their masters, as their gods. Druids are servants of an occult god who the inhabitants worship as demigods. I think that's cool. And then you also added like plants are an extension of their will. They could even have like blight. I like the idea that this occult magic has blighted their brain, and there are roots and vines and things kind of growing out of their head, but not in a like The Last of Us way where you're like, oh my god, a monster, but more of like, you know how you'll see like big chains, kind of like you've got a nose piercing and the chain hangs down and it goes to your ear, or like that sort of stuff. But instead of a chain, it's like a root or a vine is kind of growing down from their nose and up into their ear. But it looks like a chain of jewelry. Sort of the vibe I'm kind of going with here. Kenneth said, what if, because it was spared by the gods, they could use some of their precursor tech, and even the only one... and maybe the Sultan and his high-ranking druids are the only one who knows what it is. Could be cool. Like hidden tech among the greens. Ooh, what if there was a... I mean, this is probably more of like our adventure hook, but we could say there's like a blighted laboratory hidden beneath the ruined city streets. Only the druids know of it. That kind of work for you? So there's this science fantasy laboratory underneath the Violet Port. I do like my man Mako was sharing ideas of like something for their dock, something to make it cool. We probably do need to do something with that since it's called the Violet Port. What could we do? General info. It's a ruined city. Druids are servant of an occult god. Let's just call that culty for now. We could say... maybe like... there is still a market. I do want this to be the location where when ships do come here, this is where they go. They don't go to the Alabaster Citadel. There's not really anything for them there. They might stop to do some trading for bones and stuff, but for the most part, like even as I'm saying that, I'm like, would the knights even trade bone? Probably not. Maybe a little bit, but not much. So they mostly come here. So maybe they would... do they maintain an illusion of like a civilized community, or no? Seems like a lot of work for the DM. Kind of like I don't know if that's a cool mystery. What could they do? They are... if there's like this weird occulty sort of vibe going on here, maybe they want people coming to the port. They want people trading because the spices that are being spread are like blighting. Ooh, there we go. Okay. The druid cult leaders run a bustling market here. The cursed seeds are being spread across the realm by the merchant sailors who come here. So the merchants come here, they fill up their holes with a bunch of exotic fruits and spices and seeds and things that they buy here, not knowing that that is in some way serving the nefarious plans of this druidic cult that have been, their minds have been blighted by some sort of elder nature god thing that is hiding down in the laboratory. Very, very cool. Okay. Let's see. Kenneth saying like hidden tech among the greens. Exactly. The druids could install some sort of connection chip into their head as a religious ceremony. They are thought to be crowns, or even like, I imagine it's more of like, instead of wearing a crown, they plant a seed in their head. And that's what starts to corrupt them. Samuel says, I like the idea that maybe the druid is being very anti-tech because of their genetic influence, but them using the technology almost as magic to oppress the people. Like some hypocrisy there could be interesting to work with. My man Mako saying maybe the AI is now weaker because most of its servants were destroyed in the apocalypse. Silver says giant bugs are used for transportation and beasts of burden, as they have an easier time crossing the overgrowth. Ooh, bugs. That could be cool. They like ride giant winged beetles out into the jungle to like collect a bunch of the fruits and things. I think I like that. They also, like, all their clothing could be made from different, like, insect parts. We might go with that. Or, I feel like birds also makes a lot of sense, because birds, like, eat lots of fruits and seeds and things like that. And it's a little less, like, but it's not as creepy as bugs. Unsure. I'll decide on that later, I think. Maybe the only way a human can become a druid here is by making a blood sacrifice to the said demon, so they can maintain the crops and so on while still feeling occulty. Oh yeah, you reminded me. Okay, that's something I totally forgot. Going back up to our location, so Hex 10 are what did I end up calling it? I called it the... Oh wait. Oh, the numbering is a little out of order because I was shifting some of these hexes around, but I called it... Okay, so the Violent Port is here. The Spittle Grove is what I was thinking of maybe calling it. So that is... The Spittle Grove is Hex 10. Gosh, sorry, so much scrolling. Where the hell did it just go? It is a near impenetrable stretch of megaflora, awoken by the Sultan's druids and heretical ritual that enhanced the fruits and spices they produced. The druids' blood rituals mutated these plants... that's supposed to say, and gave them a craving for mortal flesh. So I did have this idea of blood sacrifices happening here. So we could bring that into play somehow. Mame Mako says the druids could be very pro-trade because they are very into the give and take side of their religion. That is what draws the merchants. Kenneth says we gotta do giant bug snails and huge spiders. Silver says Chitin isn't metal, so druids can wear that kind of armor. Is there a way we could work blood and blood sacrifice into... What about bats? Sort of like a vampiric vibe? Nah, that doesn't feel occulty. I'm not sure. Bugs are cool. Bugs are... There's like the parasite sort of vibe with it too, which fits our occulty vibe. Okay, sure. We'll go with it. Giant bugs are used to traverse the jungle and as beasts of burden. I think we'll run with it for now. Okay, so that's our general info. It was the city was partially razed, but enough of it was left over that it survived, and it's now overgrown with plant life, which the people live amongst. It's very culty. The druids are servants of an occult god who the inhabitants worship as demigods, or they worship the druids as demigods. The druid cult leaders run a bustling market here because they want the seeds to spread as far as they can. And giant bugs are used to traverse the jungle and as beasts of burden. That one feels a little out of left field still, but maybe we'll come up with something cool to kind of further work it into the idea later. All right. What time is it? 11:37? Yeah, let's keep going. We got to do our NPCs, we've got to do our locations, and we've got to do our adventure hooks. So, who are our NPCs of this area? Obviously, we need to do one of the druids. I don't think we need to worry about doing all of the druids. We just need to do, like, the head druid. What's their vibe? What makes them cool? Still not sure. I'm starting to feel like maybe we don't have a strong enough foundation of the culture of this place to start jumping into this stuff yet. But to me, the main thing that is standing out here is the plant life has rooted itself into the ruins of this civilization. And rather than carve or cut it out, these people have sort of accepted that. And they are letting plant life consume them. Oh, that was a cool way to describe that. Might need to add that somewhere. Humanity is letting the plants consume them. Cool. Okay, that's giving me a better picture of this place. Okay. The head druid is some sort of giant walking tree. Could he be an ex-Ivory Knight? Could he be? Sure, but would he, or does that make the most sense? I don't know. I don't think so. I think that those two, like if an Ivory Knight showed up, something crazy would have had to have happened for them to become the head druid, and that's just like, it's just too much. I think of like, okay, we gotta figure out what brought this Ivory Knight over here and got him into such good graces with these people that they brought him in and made him the head druid, and now this former Ivory Knight is actually the servant of this druidic god. It's like it's just a little too messy, I think. So, but Delman, props for trying to kind of like integrate areas of the world together. Silver said the head druid is powerful enough to transform non-druids into animals, helping them traverse the jungle perhaps on wings, but if done too many times, transforming them back becomes harder and harder. What if they were using plant life to... Okay, here's an idea. What if, similar to The Last of Us, these druids are using plants to enslave things? If they need a burden, if they need a beast of burden, they like have vines kind of growing through its body that force it to kind of walk and do their bidding. And the druids know it's sort of a like nefarious scheme of this occult blight god that wants to take over the world. But the people of this community see it as like, oh, like the greatest blessing. Like, yes, the plants have fully consumed or have taken... It's like a blessing to be consumed by a plant in that way. But that begs the question, like, well, what about people? Does it happen to people? And do they see it as the same thing there? Are there just a bunch of, like, plant zombie people walking around? I do like that idea of, like I'd mentioned, of the root kind of growing out of the nose and up into the ear. Maybe a bunch of people here do actually have plants kind of, like, growing in them or on them. They don't wear clothes. They have, you know, moss or vines have grown over their body to give it the appearance of a tunic or a gown. That's pretty cool. My Mameko said, what if the head druid is less of a physical person but more of an idea? He's not dead, but instead a lich with the Oh, you deleted it, but I think I like where you were going. And I think we could kind of combine what I was sort of just talking about with your idea. The head druid is not living, but rather an animated husk full of occult blight. So sort of that idea of a host body for God. But nobody knows that that's exactly what's going on. That could be really cool. That's one of our NPCs. We need some sort of like a merchant. What would be a cool merchant character? And what type of NPCs do we need in a community or a culture where you've got like the druids at the top, and then like the druids, the head druids have been infected with this blight that has turned them into slaves to an occult god. The next cast down of these merchants, how in the know are they about what's going on? Or are they also infected? Or are they being used? I could see that being maybe the more interesting option. Like the druids are allowing these merchants to become, I don't know if rich is something they would even care about, but they are allowing them to hold positions of power because they want these merchants to have an incentive to bring more business to the port, to send this seed of this god out into the world. So the merchants are... Is there like a head merchant? Is there a guild here? I don't feel like there'd be a guild. Maybe a merchant lord? Or a... I think... Oh my gosh, last time we were on stream, I was like, oh, I really like that city in Port Nyanzaru. That's what it was. In Tomb of Annihilation, and the main city had Port Nyanzaru, and there were merchant princes. So you've got your head druids, or you've got your druids at the top of the caste system. Then you've got your merchant princes. Then you've kind of got everybody else. So who could be a cool merchant prince, and what do they sell? What or like what makes them someone that the party would want to talk to? What makes them interesting? Oh, a spice trader, duh. Perhaps one who sells magical spices, powders that work like potions. Oh, yeah, okay. So they're a spice trader, but they also have, like, they've got magical spices, but I also think it would be interesting, do they have drugs, right? Like, that's a common trope of, like, this, spice, it's a drug. I think they even called that in Critical Role. But isn't also in Dune, the spice is, yeah, he who controls the spice controls the galaxy or something. So also sells drugs. So he's like a drug lord. I think that's cool. And then what makes him cool? What makes him interesting in his appearance? I don't know if I'll include that in the description, but like, does he have like, he wears like a big turban basket that has like spices as his like head, sort of as like a symbol of his position, or he has, his skin has been dyed colors by how much spice he's like been trading and things of that sort of nature. Could be kind of cool. I like the turban spice basket hat idea. It's like silly, but it's a cool visual. Like if I was described that as a player, I'd be like, oh, I could remember that. Oh yeah, the merchant has the big, huge spice basket, and he's always reaching up and using it for his food, or he's throwing it in your face as like a greeting. Whenever he meets you, hello, my friend, and poof, hits you with a bunch of spice in the face. Oh, that'd be fun. I like that. And I really like this idea that the merchant princes are completely oblivious to what is actually going on here. Or if they have a suspicion, they're willingly negligent about it because they're like, hey, I'm getting rich. Like, I'm making a lot of money running this spice trade. These druids can do whatever they want. The merchants think they hold the real power, but they don't. I could even add that. Maybe I don't need to worry about including it, but okay, that's a cool NPC. What's up, Samael? Just out of work here to say hi. Well, thanks for dropping in to say hi. Appreciate that. What do you do for work, Samael? Kenneth said, oh, we could do something with some extra limbs, but they're plants or trees. Ooh, I like that with the druids. They've got extra plant limbs. That's cool. And I like, a lot of Hindu gods have like the two arms that are up like this, and the two arms that are down, or they even have like 6 arms. So I'm getting that sort of imagery here, but they're plant limbs. Oh man, that's cool. That's really cool, Kenneth. Good idea. Okay, so we've got our head druid, which is more honestly like the druids, but we'll just go with that for now. We've got the merchant prince. What else? We probably need like a sailor or a ship captain here, because this does have an actual port. Oh, we're running out of room. Jeez. Hold on, let's make this a little smaller. God, these are going to be some small illustrations. Or not illustrations, that's not the type of art I do. What could be a cool ship captain? And also, trying to decide in my head, like, how rooted, but is the druidic plant life sort of vibe into every other character? Because we've been describing the merchant princes as like they're not really blighted the same way that these druids are. But should they be? Like, why? If the druids are trying to control everything, it's not really making sense, now that I think about it, that they wouldn't have as many people of the city under their control as they could. But I also don't like the idea of running a big hive mind city. That doesn't sound very fun. I'll think about that. Oh, Riz King Sailor. Samael says, I'm a specialized blue-collar metalworker employed in a steel mill. Cool. Working in the trades. I respect it. That's sick. Sometimes I think if I could go back and be like, oh, learning how to be like a carpenter or a plumber or like something of that would be a very valuable skill to have nowadays. Is the captain more of a sea captain or a river captain? Delman asked. I see them as being more of a... Well, now that you actually asked that question, I'm realizing maybe we don't need to worry about coming up with an individual captain so much as we need the port master. You've got your merchant princes who handle the like harvesting of spices and things out in the jungles and selling it. But you need someone who's actually like running the dock, keeping track of the ships, can refer the characters to a captain, right? You're looking for a crew or you're looking for a boat, go talk to this person. The portmaster definitely seems like one we would want to have. And they seem like a character who would be in on it with the... Well, what? Gosh, I don't know. I don't know who is working with the druids and who's in on it and who's not. Maybe we're just going to say the druids are the only one who are in on it. I think that maybe is the most interesting... Like, because then it's a big conspiracy. There might be a merchant prince who suspects something, or the portmaster might suspect something, and then the characters can learn of that, and they can start working with the portmaster to try and bring these druids down. But if everybody's in on it, and everybody in the city is working for the druids, then like the characters have no allies, they have no ways to really get information. How do you go about defeating this group of druids if you don't have any way to really get into the story, right? So the portmaster is a... What makes them interesting? Maybe they could still be allied with the druids in the sense of like they grow ships or they repair ships using roots and things to kind of hold it all together. They got... Oh, that's kind of cool. Like collects shipwrecks and rebuilds them with vines and things like that. That could be cool. Silver says, Portmaster isn't in on it, but he's seen things that no one believes to be true. After all, he drinks a lot. Oh, yeah, that's a good way. What's up, Hayden? I don't know if I've seen that name before. Yeah, just got here. First time seeing this live. Could you provide a catch-up in general and a catch-up of what we're brainstorming at this moment? Could use the context. Thanks. Yeah, I need to find a way to... Maybe I should just put that in the description each time. Like, that's where you could go to get it. Or I wonder if there's a way for me to pin... Can I pin a message? Because I could put like the first message in chat. Yeah, maybe I'll just do that. I'll just pin a message each time of like, this is what we're doing. I don't know why I didn't think of that before. Yeah, Hidden, we are actually we're honestly kind of close to the end of this stream. Whoops, just got Siri activated. So you'll want to catch the next one for sure, because we're going to just keep this series going for a little while. But we are brainstorming a micro region called the Retched Tropics, which is this is the map we've been working on, but the actual description is right here. It is a noxious jungle riddled with fuming volcanoes, sulfuric vents, and acidic bogs. It's like an apocalyptic version of Cholt, if you're familiar with that from D&D. So on these streams, I kind of guide us through the sections we're brainstorming, and people just drop ideas into chat, and we kind of feed off of each other's vibes and energies, and it's a ton of fun. So if you're not subscribed to the channel, like, consider doing that, because then you can catch future streams. Which right now the plan is like, kind of thing like Monday, Wednesday, Friday is a pretty easy regular schedule to maintain. But honestly, I might try and do it as often as I can. We'll see. Also thinking like it could be fun to do some bonus streams, like, you know, if we get some membership goals or something, or super chat goals or something, like Tuesday, Thursday could be our like unlock days. I don't know. Doman said there should be one NPC that is working against them, as you need one for an adventure hook. Yeah, I feel like that's the head druid, though. That's the evil one, right? Erden, what's going on? Which program do you use for creating PDFs? Good question. I'm using Canva, which is a simpler... It is limited compared to Photoshop or like InDesign, but I hate Adobe, and Canva offers me all the tools that I need. It's a little more... it's not as robust, but I really like it. And it's never given me problems the way that Adobe does with every platform or every program I try and use of theirs. My man Mako said we could have an NPC that's a traveling big game hunter after a particular beast. Cool idea for an NPC, not one I think that deserves to be like one of the core four, right? A traveling big game hunter, like, I don't know if that quite fits here. But definitely a place where you could meet someone like that. Kenneth said definitely a spice. Definitely a spice, as they mentioned that. Not following, Kenneth. Are you saying like as like a drug lord dude. I'm not sure. Hidden said, glad I could help. I will try and be at the next one for sure. Would love to participate. Yeah, we'd love to have you. And I also want to try and make sure that like not every stream is a brainstorming stream. I want to try and sprinkle in ideas of other types of streams. But, oh, that reminds me. I'd love to hear from you guys. Drop in the chat right now, like, because we are coming up on the final couple minutes here. Don't worry, we still got like at least 5, if not a little longer. But like, what would be some other fun streams we could do? I'm like such in a brainstorming mode right now that it's hard for me to think of other ideas for a stream. But I would love to kind of get some ideas for you. Like, do we want to do a player character workshop? Do we want to do a world building workshop? I have no idea. What would be useful to you all? I did have an idea for another NPC. We need like a commoner, just someone who is living in this place. Commoner's not even a good word for it. Like someone in the lowest caste who's like not a charlatan, almost like an Aladdin character type vibe. Like they are an urchin, but I don't want a kid. They're do you guys know the vibe I'm going for? Like someone who the characters can meet, who can kind of show them the underbelly of this city, like take them down into the ruined cave city that these people are living in, and introduce them to the common people. They like are a worker, but I don't know a good word to describe that. Oh, Kenneth, you were saying no, like soy sauce or pepper isn't as common for the whole world as it used to be. Like salt is back in almost currency value. Oh, I guess I don't know the world economy on spices. Soy sauce and pepper isn't as common for the whole world as it used to be. That seems weird. I would think it's more common than it ever has been before because everybody can access it. But what do I know? I'm just a dumb dungeon tuber. Oh, like a beetle farmer? Oh, yeah, I guess it depends if we're still going with the beetle vibe. The straight rat, that's a cool name, Kevin K. Doman said, you should do a solo play stream. I really like the video. I need more of that content. Oh, are you talking about the solo stream I did for the Doom Stronghold? That was pretty fun. We did a solo dungeon delve stream a while ago where we had like a character that was going down into this like old pirate hideout, and we weren't really playing D&D. Like we didn't worry about their class. We weren't doing a lot of like combats. It was more of like as this character was exploring the dungeon, we were kind of brainstorming what was in this dungeon, what were they finding, how would they respond to it, but we weren't worried about this person necessarily dying. It was more of a like dungeon prepping exercise through the lens of the character exploring it. That was really fun. I wouldn't mind doing that again. Doman asked, are you planning your next stream at the same time of day? Yeah, I think it's just going to be 10 a.m. It will be kind of our standard time. Hidden says, maybe a worker that could bring the players into the bowels of the city. Not sure what this community does with their dead, but maybe a grave digger. Yeah. Now that the way you describe that of like taking them down into the bowels of the city, it does sort of have like an insect sort of vibe. So maybe they do go with bugs. Bugs kind of help them burrow down into the old ruins and stuff. Could be cool. Maybe we will go with a bug farmer. Beetle farmer. So we'll say a low caste, lives in the ruined city's tunnels, raises spice harvesting beetles. That's a cool idea. That's a fun one. Needs some work, but we'll go with it. All right. Oh boy. Let's see if we can wrap this location up with some locations and some adventure hooks, yeah? What types of locations do we have here? We've got the secret lab, druidic experimental lab, deep beneath the city. That's where the druids... Do the druids live there? Yeah, I think instead of the druids living up high, I like the idea that it's inverted. The druids live in the deepest point. and the common folk live up on the surface almost. Like it's almost seen as an honor to live down inside the hive city. Ooh, hive city, that's cool. We need the port, which, you know, we need the port, we need the markets, and maybe one other. Not sure what it could be. Oh, Samuel said, salt was so valuable back in the day and important that that's what brought about the term salary. Salario in ancient Latin and modern. Oh, that's cool. I didn't know that. What a fun little factoid. Okay. Who was it? Was it Kenneth? Who was saying, like, maybe it was my man Mako, that the docks could be like rotting kelp? I think we could work around a similar idea of the docks are made from giant roots that have grown out into the port. And what's cool about that, now I'm thinking about it, is the druids can maybe use the magics too. Like if a pirate ship is trying to come in, or if someone's trying to like flee on their boat, these roots can close in the bay, or can close the port, or like they can grab ships to anchor them. It's like definitely implies like this is a giant plant monster thing that can just tear ships apart, but it's never happened. Like they could do that, but it's like no, these are just the docks, and like the roots move really slow. But do they actually move really slow, or that could be cool. Okay, so we've got our secret lab, we've got our markets. We need a cool idea for the markets, which is the violet. I might need to rework this name. The Violet Port it's not doing it for me anymore. But the markets I'm imagining are like tons of not root baskets, but like tons of woven baskets. Maybe like, I don't know what's cool, because the city is ruined. It kind of toppled in on itself, and it's been overgrown, and now there's a market somewhere. Maybe it's like, ooh, what if the market is in the tallest structure that's still standing? Inside tallest old city tower still standing. And like, but it's like, in my head I'm imagining a big tower that there's like a bunch of things hanging around the outside and the inside, and the people who come here to do business here kind of go up into the tower, they buy all this stuff, and they go down into the port. It's got like giant root cranes, so things are like being lowered by roots down the sides of this tower. It overlooks the port. That's pretty cool. And then that's like tall enough that the beetles that are flying can kind of like come up and cling to the sides of it and move around it. Maybe even has like, maybe the beetles live on it. Nah, I think I like the idea that the beetles live kind of down in the hive city. Hidden said maybe some root fields. I don't know why. Kind of stuck on the aspect of death, like the idea of using corpses to feed the massive roots. Very druidic, circle of life kind of thing, but in a macabre kind of way. Yeah, that is kind of cool. I mean, we are working with blight, and like these druids have blight in their brains, and people are sort of letting plants grow within them. But I don't know if I want to go too far into the like necromancy, undead sort of vibe, as I want to try and keep it more occulty, parasite-y sort of vibe. So I don't know, I might kind of stay clear of death stuff. Okay, the secret lab, we've got the port, we've got the market. We need I guess we need like the underhive, where the common people live. The hollowed out ruins of the old city, filled with caves or maybe we could call it like filled with caves. I'm trying to think of. It is really hard to describe this idea of the city collapsed, but they've dug it out and they're living in it again, but they're not living in it in the way it was used before. Like, they aren't living in like the bedroom that someone's living in isn't furnished normally. It's like this crooked, half collapsed room that people are living in, and it's more like a cave than it is an actual room. You know, I feel like it makes sense when I say it, but it's hard to describe it in text. Kevin asks, are there any ties to Vecna in this region? I wouldn't say like strict ties to Vecna, but Vecna is like the mortal prophet who like is sovereignly ruling the whole world. So everyone in this setting would know of Vecna, but I don't know if they necessarily like have like a temple in his honor here. Maybe we do need to think about that though. Or is it so remote that Vecna just doesn't even care about this place? That could also be interesting. Anyway, okay, so we've got the secret lab, we've got the port, we've got the markets, we've got the underhive. I feel like that's pretty good for now. Yeah, why don't we we're a little past 2 hours, so why don't we wrap things up here with some adventure hooks. So we can get rid of the description of the blighted lab because that's already one of our locations. Although it won't be called secret laboratory. It'll be like the druids cave, and that's the druids go down deep into it, but there's also a secret lab there. But one of our hooks could be, I feel we got to have a hook that kind of ties into this idea of blight parasites growing inside people's brains. Maybe what about a ship merchant has or heard rumors of ships being claimed by blight as soon as they leave port. So that's a rumor that can kind of get your characters starting to ask questions of like, what are these druids actually doing? What are they selling? What is these big baskets of seed that are being put onto these ships? Like, is there something? What's hidden inside them? What's going on? I feel like that could work. Samael said, maybe I misunderstand, but if you want... Oh, Samael, yeah, no. Don't worry about that. Also, I mean, I'm in Salt Lake City. I don't know if you're in that area. I'm always just saying, like, oh, like it would be cool to know like a skill trade like that. But Dolman said a bit more on the fun side, but a bug riding heist or a chase of some kind of stolen spice. Ooh, we could do something cool with bugs. I like that idea. Scald XYZ, what's going on? I never get to see you live, but now I caught you. As a DM, I have to say you make amazing content. I really appreciate all the stuff you make and how you stimulate our creativity. Thanks. You are very welcome, Scald. And thanks for jumping into chat to leave that message. I appreciate that. That's really cool. Yeah, that's always been my goal, is to just inspire, just get people thinking outside of the box. Do really cool, fun things for your players in your game. You don't have to do the same. You know, once you think you have an idea, you could probably push it a little bit further, is sort of my thesis. But what else? Okay, more adventure hooks. 3 more, and I'm starving. I want to go eat here pretty soon. We could do... What could we do for bugs? Has something been eating the bugs? Has something making the bugs sick? Do they... They need some of their bugs wrangled up. I don't know. Doman says, imagine the players riding the bugs chasing a thief in this maze-like city. Could be cool. Samuel, no, I'm not in that area, but if you want to transfer to Italy, I can help you. Hey-o! You know what? If I'm ever looking for some dual citizenship, I guess I know who to hit up. I don't know how Mother Doom would feel about moving to Italy. Yeah, she might. Maybe there's parts of that she'd like. Although all of our family is here, so probably not. Silver says maybe there's a local crime gang made up of gnomes riding giant wasps or stealing spice. I feel like we're close. Bugs are... Maybe there's... Ooh, what about this? An invasive species of giant bugs is taking over sections of the underhive. So it's not really like the people of this community, they've got their bugs under control. They've been raising these giant beetles for a long time. They've got it. But they don't know what to do about the spiders or the beetle-eating bugs that have started to move into the area, and that's what they need the adventurers' help with. That's cool. Ooh, bug eggs. That's interesting, Doman. There's a crime syndicate. Yeah, a thieves guild is trying to take control of the city and sell insect eggs, which have like drug-like properties. I don't know. I like that. So there's someone kind of trying to muscle their way in and take over the druid's position. But this thieves guild has no idea what these druids are actually doing or what they're capable of. I think that's cool. Hidden says, this gives me crazy Darkwood vibes. Loving it. Adventure hook. Maybe a bug batch is being smuggled out in secret. A cleric from an adversary god is in hiding after infiltrating. There's the black market, the bug market. That's cool. Yeah, I feel like that works well with this one. One more idea. We don't really have any ideas that take people outside of the city to go investigate the surrounding vegetation. And we had talked about, or we knew that, Hex 10 was going to be some sort of some sort of man-eating jungle that was the result of these druid occultist priests or whatever doing some ancient magics a while ago. So is there something there we could do? Maybe there's like an old temple. Ooh, yeah, maybe that's something. Dolman says maybe a warlock infiltrated the druids like James Bond. Maybe. But I like this idea that the druids are seeking a lost temple in the nearby man-eating jungle. I still don't have a good name for that. But they would hire the characters because they don't really want their people discovering it. They don't want... Because they're a little worried about like what's in this temple. We're not even sure. So if we send our hunters or our gatherers out there, they might learn of like the nefarious things we've got going on. But if we send some adventurers out there, then we can just kill them when they're done, right? It's the betrayal sort of a vibe here. Cool. All right, y'all. Good stream. We got our Citadel of Ivory and we got our Violet Port, or whatever we're going to call it. I guess Violet could still work from like a mushroomy perspective. It's all violet-colored mushrooms growing into people, but I don't know. We'll figure it out later. But I think that's where we're going to end today's stream. Thank you to everyone who hung out with me today and brainstormed ideas. It means a lot. It was a ton of fun. Don't forget, I've got open spots in my Sunday campaigns, as well as my Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday campaign. Your first game is free. So if you're hesitant to join a pay-to-play sort of scenario, I totally get it, but you can come kind of test those waters. I'd love to run a quest for someone or for a group this Sunday. Also, don't forget, the Traveling NPC, my most recent zine, went up on the Patreon. You can become a tithe-giving Patreon for $3 a month. Or let me get bigger here on the screen. You can get the PDF of this for just $3 by becoming a patron. I'm also sending out physical copies to some of my higher-tier patrons later, hopefully by the end of this week is the goal. And I'll be putting the Doom Stronghold up on DriveThruRPG and for sale on my website here soon. So lots of cool things coming from the church to check out. What we're working on right now, right? The Retched Tropics, that will be going up on Patreon at the end of this month. So all the more reason to become a patron. Hidden asks, where can we apply to be in your party? Would love to jump in and try. Hey, link is at the top of the description. there's a link to go join my campaigns, because they're on startplaying.games, which is a site that I've been using for a long time. It's pretty popular now. It's a great site, so you can go check that out. And once you join, I just change the cost of your session from 25 down to 0 for that first one. So yeah, Hayden, I would love to have you come check it out, man. But everybody, that's it for me. Love y'all. We say these things in your unholy names. Amen. Bye. See you next time.